Today we're going to be talking about how to fix your lead generation and your lead quality problem. If you're tired of feeling like maybe the leads suck, they're not converting, they're too expensive, problem solved. Watch this video and I'm about to give you the framework that's going to help you grow your business faster than Tom Cruise in a fighter jet in Top Gun. Okay, maybe not that fast, but I promise you it works because we've been doing it for a long time. In fact, if you don't know who I am, my name is Nick Parker. I'm the founder and CEO at Leadline, a marketing agency that's run over 500,000 ads for lots of small businesses across the nation and in other countries. And so I want to help share the lessons I've learned along the way to help you grow wisely instead of the hard, stupid, foolish way, right? So let's get into it. So I want to share something with you called the offer pendulum. Years and years ago, I remember we had a lot of initial in the early days clients that were struggling with like trying to craft a really good offer for their lead gen, and they had a lot of not so great ideas, some terrible ideas. There were some that were actually good, but a lot of them were really, really bad ideas. And then there was a lot of Me Too offers, which is basically everyone in the whole industry is running the same offer, and that never works. You got to stand out somehow, right? So, especially in competitive markets. So anyway, created this offer pendulum. This offer pendulum swings two different directions. You got one side, which is super low lead volume, the other side, which is super high lead volume. And in the middle somewhere, slightly to the right, is the perfect mix of lead volume and lead quality. Beautiful. Mwah, chef's kiss, right? That's what we're looking for. And so what we want to do here is get the pendulum moving to the right place by starting with the right offer. So a lot of the conversation is around like a free versus a paid offer. So let's take a look at this offer pendulum. On the left side, you've got real high friction and low perceived value. So what is friction? Let me define what friction is. Friction is where it is a little harder to get involved with the business with that lead generation offer. For example, a lot of times people misuse friction and they jump the gun and they try to sell too quickly on their advertising campaigns. In other words, they're like, hey, we're running a paid in full special, pay $3,000 for the full year and get a free month. Not something you want to be running in your ads. You may get one hit, if at all, on something like that. Real quick, if you're getting some value out of this, hit that subscribe button. Let's get back to it. That's really, really high friction. It's a lot of money. They've never been to your business before. They don't know anything about it and they haven't experienced it yet. So that will be an example of friction. There's other ways to add friction, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. What about perceived value? This would be the side of the pendulum that has really low perceived value. And I say perceived value because it doesn't mean that it's not valuable. But perceived value is what's most important here, is how does the user that's scrolling on social media and sees your ad perceive the value of what you're offering? I'm going to say this, not the business owners, how you see the value, because you know everything you offer. As a business owner, you know how valuable your business is to the members you serve. You know exactly how good your service is. You know the outcomes, but they don't know that. So there's only perceived value. Okay. So keep that in mind. So with that being said, there's low perceived value, right? Really high cost, and they don't understand the value of doing business with you yet. Okay. The other side, let's swing the pendulum all the other way to the other side, and you get really high perceived value. Okay, remember, perceived value and low friction. What could that be? Okay, free is always one of the best sources of low friction, but let's put free on steroids. Let's say not only did you get a free 1-year membership, you also got a free iPad, a free television, and entry to win a brand new car for absolutely free. I know. Ridiculous. Please don't run that offer. That's not what we're saying to do. You'll have so many leads, but you'll not convert any of them. So with that being said, it's a really high perceived value because you're getting so much, you almost can't believe it. You feel guilty. You feel like you should pay for it. Okay. More than 10x value, 100x value. That is really high perceived value. And there's extremely low friction. It doesn't require a lot of your time, some of your time, not a lot of your time, but also it doesn't require any money. And so there's really, really low friction. So that would be millions and millions of leads. You would get so many leads. Actually, to be quite honest, you probably wouldn't get any leads because nobody would believe that's true. It would be like, this is a scam. This is a fraud. Anyway, the idea is you would get millions of leads because there is a perceived value that's so high in a low friction. So anyway, how do we find the sweet spot on that? Well, what we want to do is we want to work towards somewhat on the right side of that pendulum. We want to stay closer to the free or low cost side for the initial first step. Because remember, the idea here is to get people who have never engaged with your business to give you their contact information and give up their time and eventually their money to do business with you. Yeah, I said sacrifice. And as business owners, you're thinking it's not a sacrifice. They're coming in. They're going to get a lot of value out of what we offer. True, but you're not competing against just competitors. You're competing against the kids' soccer practice. You're competing against their busy schedule and what they have going on and work and everything else and birthdays on the weekends. And like, you're competing against so much more than just competitors. So time is valuable, right? So it has to be worth them sacrificing their time and eventually their money. So with that being said, let's talk about free versus paid offers, right? A lot of times with a free offer, you can get higher lead volume, not always true, but higher lead volume, and still increase the quality of your leads by adding a little bit of friction to the advertising process without having to add a monetary value to it and making it a paid offer, because that really adds a lot of friction, because then people are having to upload billing information. People are having to pay something. They're not sure if they're even going to like it. And so they have to be sold so much more before they come in. But if it's free, they bypass all that. It kind of greases the sales pipeline a little bit to get them through faster. And you can add friction in smaller doses over time to increase lead quality, like asking survey questions, like asking additional information on the opt-in forms, or forcing them to schedule a pre-introductory call just to know before you go call, or something to where they have to understand, is it the right fit for you? We want to make sure it's the right fit for you for medical reasons and safety reasons. We also want to answer all your questions. Kind of, not really. But you want to answer a few questions just to ease their fears, to increase your show rates. That actually adds value while you're increasing friction at the same time. That's a paradox, but it works. And then you increase your show rates, right? So there's different ways to do that. So moving on, we've talked about lead volume. We've talked about lead quality. Now let's talk about conversions. And I want to say something interesting that really nobody, and I mean nobody, is talking about in the agency space about conversions, right? At the point of sale. What is really interesting about this is not all industries convert the same. Okay. So when we started LeadLion forever ago, we were strictly fitness companies only, right? Now we work outside of that. We have a lot of children's enrichment programs. We have like wellness centers, like all kinds of different wellness clinics. And anyway, you get the point. We have discovered different industries convert at different rates. And it took us a little bit to figure out why, but it's really a psychological reason as to why. So let's look at this. Let's do an example of like a kid's program. Like say a mom is bringing a kid to a program and they see an ad for a free introductory class and they want to come in and their mom's going to get some me time in the lobby while the kid does the class, and they get some really needed rest, and the kid's going to have a great time, and it's pretty easy to digest that for the mom, right? So those convert higher. Let's take that a step further. What if it was like a spa service, like a massage, and you got a really good offer or an introductory session on a massage? That is relaxing. You feel rejuvenated. There's really nothing but pure bliss when you're thinking about an offer like that. But what about fitness? So if you look at like a lot of these mid to large group fitness classes, awesome. They do great work. They really help a lot of people, and it's a great environment. And the social bugs, the people that are hyper social, love the idea of it. But what about the introverts? What about the people that have a lot of weight to lose? What about the people that have not been in an exercise program for years and years or decades and are intimidated and they're scared they're going to throw up, look stupid, be embarrassed, be in too much pain, have to quit the workout? So many barriers going on in the mind of the consumer before they even step foot in your door. So when they see that lead gen opportunity, if they have to pay for it, they have to be really serious. And if they come in for free, they may not even show up because they're half scared. So the follow-up process and the nurture process of getting them from A to B, which is actually A, B to C. A is generate the lead first. B, get them booked into the calendar to actually show up and try the intro, and then get them to come in and feel relaxed about it. And then C would be conversion at point of sale. So not all industries convert equal. So you have to look at your industry. Don't compare against other industries. But at the end of the day, guys, sales cure all, and really skilled, good salespeople can walk into a lot of businesses today and immediately double conversion rates. I'll give you an example of this. Recently, I filmed a video internally for a client that was in a pre-sale that was struggling to convert. And they watched the ABC framework. I think I have one of these on our channel somewhere. Maybe we can link it if we have it. But the ABC framework, they followed the ABC training, practiced it for a week in the mirror, and role played it with their team. And now they're converting at 3 times the average of what they were. And it's incredible. And they're selling so many memberships. So the good news is the third lever, which is conversions, can be fixed through sales training. So remember, you got lead volume first. That's your first priority. Get the volume. Then you got lead quality. Then you fix your quality issues by adding friction, but not swinging the pendulum too far. And then 3, conversions, and you fix that through sales training. Now, think about it this way. I know some of you are thinking, but Nick, I'd rather have lower lead volume. My team can't handle that. I'd rather them have less leads and higher lead quality because they don't want to do the sales training, or I don't have time to do sales training or whatever. I'm going to paint a picture for you. Okay. John owns a fitness studio and gets 400 leads a month. Now he only converts at 15%, not super high, right? But he sells 60 memberships. Amy, on the other hand, every single month, Amy, on the other hand, has a yoga studio and gets 50 leads a month. Okay, with a paid intro, and converts at double the conversion rate, 30%, but only 15 memberships sold. So let's do the math. John and Amy's lifetime value of a member, which in other words means if they pay $150 a month, they stick around for an average of maybe like 9 months or so. I don't know, I didn't do the math, but there's $1,350 on their lifetime value of that member. John and Amy have the same lifetime value of a member. So John brings in $81,000 in future revenue that month. Amy only brings in $20,000 plus $375 because she's charging $25 for the paid intro, and she sold maybe, 15 of those. So anyway, what scenario would you rather have, right? And so you're worried about lead quality way too early before you're worried about lead volume. Okay. Focus on the volume first. Then once you have the volume, if it's an overwhelm, and I get it, because during a lot of our launches, we overwhelm. We hear it all the time. Before AI, they couldn't handle it. The volume was way too high for a lot of clients. And so with AI though, it's completely manageable because you don't have to lift a finger. You literally don't have to do a thing. You have messaging going in and out. You have booked appointments. You have confirmed appointments, rescheduled, no shows, re-engagement. Everything is done for you by the AI. Emma AI is so incredible. We almost can't even believe it. Friendly, better customer service, speed to lead. The quality is insane. And then you also have outbound calls rolling out right now. So you have inbound, you have outbound, and then you have call forwarding so you can have them pick it up. It's like, guys, it's so crazy the day we're living in. Now is the best time ever in history to grow a business, especially in the membership space or the service-based space with AI who can manage all the leads. You basically turn the marketing on, let the AI do the work, show up and sell. How crazy is that? We're living in a day when that can actually happen. So anyway, if you want to learn more about the AI lead management, check out the video. We'll put the link in the description below so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. But keep in mind, for future reference, fix your lead flow first, lower your cost per lead, increase your volume. second, then work on quality, third, then work on conversions. You do it in that order, you'll be gold. Hey, if you want more content like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. Plus, it really helps the channel. I'd really appreciate it and look forward to seeing you in the next one.